Welcome, welcome! In this video, I wanted to share my process while I painted the Magician Tarot card. I'm working on a tarot series, and this is the latest one I have created. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to talk a little bit about the supplies, my process, some of my struggles, you know, all that fun artist stuff. Yeah, enjoy! When I initially planned this card, I wanted to try to match some more modern stage magician vibes, along with the traditional magical vibes. And I think I did a pretty good job of bridging the gap there. Add a little celestial badassery in there as well, and I think that rounds it off. And here you can see Matisse joined the stream to offer her opinions and criticisms of the art piece. You know, I swear bearded dragons are like cats. They like to just sit on the thing that you are working on and make it really impossible to continue working on it. You can see here that I started doing some thumbnail sketches once I got my initial line work done. I wanted to kind of play around with color, and I always recommend doing this, especially with watercolor, because you don't really have the opportunity to paint over once the paint has already stained the paper, and it really helps you play with color relationships. Here I decided to go and add some stars to the cloak, add those celestial vibes as I mentioned before. I'm going back to the sketchbook to play a little bit more with some color palette for the cloak. I thought about doing some yellow underneath, ended up going with gray at the end. I was really torn up about what I wanted to do with the background. I thought maybe something more muted would do a little bit better since all these other thumbnails weren't working for me. We're ready to go, and then psych, we're back to the sketchbook again. Someone in chat made a comment for a color palette, and I just had to try it, and we actually ended up going with it, and I think it works really well. And now we jump into the painting. As you can see, I was a little too excited. I kind of jumped the gun. I almost forgot to tape down my papers. You can see me go back and do that there. Fortunately, I didn't get too far. I think you probably couldn't see during the sped up version of the sketching phase, but I did add some watercolor masking fluid to the stars on the cape and the hair and candle and all the stuff above her head. It's a way to resist watercolor paint so that you can maintain the whites of the paper. Makes it really easy to paint around complicated shapes. So you'll see me lift that up later in the video. I'll be sure to leave a list in the description of all the materials that I've mentioned and used in this video so you can reference it there. I've somehow managed to get a few minutes into this video without even sharing what the magician even means, so I want to go back a little bit and share some of the keywords that this card could mean when you pull it in a spread. Words like willpower, desire, resourcefulness, manifestation. There's also like skill, confidence, accomplishment, mastering unseen forces, inner guidance. It's a really cool energy for one of the major arcana cards. It's actually the first card in the series of major arcana, comes after the Fool, which is technically number 0. It's the part in the Fool's journey where after you decide to take that leap of faith, the magician presents herself to you and lets you know that you have all the tools you need, which would be the 4 suits that you see tattooed on her body in my design. The Modern Witchcraft Book of Tarot by Skye Alexander describes the magician as a powerful and wise figure. The magician represents the ability to understand and command the unseen forces that operate in the universe. This card suggests that everything you need is right there at your fingertips. You're connecting with your power and aligning yourself with the universal forces to achieve your goals and desires. It's a really positive energy and one that I think is really great to start the new year off with, as this is the first tarot card that I have painted in the year 2022. I started this tarot project in April of 2021, and this is now the 12th card that I have painted in the series. Committing to such a large project is a little bit daunting, as there are 78 cards in a deck, which means 78 individual paintings, not including the deck box art or the back of the cards. But I think it's really important to set big goals for ourselves, and having a project that I can turn back to when I'm not really sure what to paint at the time, I think will be a good kind of North Star for me in the next couple years of my artistic career. Now, as I add a little bit of darker greens near the bottom, you can actually see I've sprinkled some salt there, so look closely in that area as the video progresses to see how that affects the watercolor paint, and it can be a really fun texture to incorporate into your work. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much. This is actually the first time I've ever really tried to do a voiceover for my videos. It's not the first video on my channel, but I'm still fairly new to video editing, so I really appreciate it if you did make it this far. If you could click the like button or hit subscribe, that's really just like a vote of encouragement for me to keep making videos and sharing my art with the world, and it would mean the world to me. As you can see from my process so far, I tend to work in layers, many layers. I feel like some of my pieces can have like 100 layers, which may be a little excessive, but with watercolor, it's really important to preserve the lights of the paper. So I save my darkest values for near the end of a painting. They also say you should save your lightest lights for the end as well, but with watercolor, that is really difficult. You do need to mask out those areas before you even start, so it does take a little extra planning. But another way you could achieve this is adding gouache on top, like an opaque watercolor, or using some white gel pens, which I actually do with this painting. And again, those materials are going to be in the description below. Peeling off the masking fluid is always a really exciting part of the process, just because you get those satisfying crisp edges, but also it marks kind of the end of the process. The painting's almost done. We're finally getting to those last details that we masked off during the majority of the painting. You can see I finally added some yellow to those stars and some last minute value adjusting for jumping into the objects above her head. For once, I actually had the foresight to do some recording during my live stream so I could post Instagram reel. So if you're interested in that content, go ahead and check out my Instagram. You can find me on just about all the social medias at Art by Trisha Hall. Now this part was particularly satisfying for me, adding the little bit of warm highlight and cool shadow on the dice. It really brought the environment to life for me. I know it's hard to see in the video, but I just thought I would share that little insight. And now we're on to the really fun part. I used my trusty toothbrush to splatter on some white gouache for the stars and touch them up with a white gel pen. I used that same pen throughout the piece to add some, to clean up some edges and add some brighter areas of interest. It's not too terribly noticeable, and you will see I kind of go back and forth with like erasing it with water and then redrawing it. And here I'm just changing some line weight and paying attention to my lines, even though I did already do inking beforehand. It's all just those fiddly details. And we are ready for the tape peel! Thanks for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you liked my rendition of the Magician Tarot card. Let me know in the comments what card you think I should paint next. I still have quite a few on my list to paint. And be sure to stop by my live stream on Twitch if you would like to see part of the process in real time. Bye-bye!